when you select an MBA, one of the key questions a lot of people ask is it worth it? Is it really worth doing an MBA? Because it's a serious investment, it costs money, and it's also an investment in terms of time. And consequently, the first question is, is it really giving me a return on investment? So from that point of view, I would suggest that large majority of you will presumably do some due diligence and try and find out, if you do an MBA, to be very clear why you want to do it. Is it only, in inverted commas, because you like to earn more money? And we have some statistics that give us good returns on, or good reports, in as far as that our alumni actually managed to increase their salary substantially, and we can talk about this outside, but it's an independent survey from the Financial Times, so that's one possibility. But I would hope that money is not the only reason you would do an MBA. There are other reasons which I think are much more important, such as increasing your knowledge, increasing your job opportunities, opening perhaps new avenues for your career that so far have not been open to you. Now, talking about due diligence, how do you select a good program? And what I would suggest to you is that's a fairly basic decision, and we take basic very, very literally. We, meaning WU Executive Academy, would argue that basic stands for B for branding. First of all, you have to make sure that the program you select is offered by a supplier that has a reasonably good reputation. So the infamous University of Slippery Rock, Mid-Arkansas, is perhaps not the best supplier of MBAs or any other lesser-known brands you can put in there. So branding is important because you want to come from an institution that is known, that is large, and that has a good reputation. So B for branding. A is also important because it stands for accreditation. Accreditation is something which we emphasize quite a lot because accreditation gives you an independent audit of accreditation agencies such as AACSB or EFMD, the EQUIS accreditation, or FIBA or AMBA, etc. These are all independent accreditation agencies. Some are more important than others, but they basically vet the courses, the programs, and look whether they are good enough to be accredited. As we talk about selectivity. Selectivity in as far as that from our point of view, it is important that we select students who are able to contribute something to their peers, to the class. So in other words, what we do not want is students who literally just come out of university and have had no business experience, no job experience, and hence can contribute very little. Internationalization is also an important selection criteria, and it comes in various forms and shapes and facets. Number one, we are looking for cohorts, for classes that are very international in their composition. For example, participants ought to come from a bunch of different countries. In our programs, the average, depending on the program, is between 40 and 60, 70% who are not Austrian. So quite often you have programs where the majority is from abroad. And that very much depends on the program, and again, we talk about this a little bit later. It also comes in the shape and form of faculty. While WU Vienna has a large faculty, we have something like 400 plus faculty, 80 professors, people who can specialize in lots and lots of different areas. It is important that we also enhance the group of people who teach you by a number of overseas faculty. So we typically have faculty from the Carleton School, from South Carolina, from Canada, from Leeds, from Harvard, from Columbia, and so on, in order to mix the faculty and make it as international as possible. Last facet of internationalization is field studies. Field studies are, or residencies as we sometimes call it, are components in many programs where people go abroad, for example, to India, to China, to Brazil, and then spend some time in universities and in particular spend some time visiting companies, visiting projects, and discussing with local managers up-to-date management topics. Next is curriculum. Curriculum is something which obviously has to be cutting edge. And there is an old debate going on in terms of how far can a curriculum be, or should a curriculum be theoretical versus practical. This sort of debate, is it more a trade school which teaches, quote unquote, only tools, or does it give you also a theoretical background? We try to hit the middle ground in as far as that we believe that a good theory, a good tool, for example, like the Boston box, some of you may have heard about this, growth share matrix, is a good tool, but it is a theoretical tool. And so we try to basically hit the balance between theory and practicality in a very careful way. And for us, we try to do this by employing people who, people meaning professors, who themselves are either have worked in industry or have at least a consulting background and work on the side as consultants. So they need to have this sort of managerial attachment and not be purely researchers. Next, we have satisfaction. And satisfaction comes back to ranking, because we look at how satisfied our alumni are. And ultimately, these are our ambassadors, these are our spokespeople. Consequently, this is our sort of recipe, our basic recipe, our theory, if you want, in terms of how to select an MBA program.